tell I'm all screwed up. Hello, everybody. I'm all screwed up because I kept hitting the wrong buttons. Just picking up and thinking it's been 9 o'clock for the last 3 hours is throwing me way off. Hello, everybody. Wendy, she will be back. She just got, hands full at the moment. And hello, my dear.
Miss Wendy.
You are well.
Hi, Aunt Edna. How's everybody doing?
We're gonna just let people wander in and gab a little bit.
The Cheeto Bandits.
I got replay going on. Here we go. There we go. The Cheeto Bandit.
Well, you know what, Miss Wendy? I wouldn't be a bandit if he didn't steal my Cheetos all the time.
Yeah, he's gonna start missing his little action figures here real soon too. I'm gonna stash those in the Cheeto bags.
I better not. I would take exception to that rule. I have to beat you up.
We are going to be talking about the Nahi Valley. That's the picture you're looking at behind us. This
in the Nahi Valley, the valley of
I'm
the
going to back us out so they can see this picture. And I found all kinds of really cool pictures of this valley, but this is what it looks like, folks. So those who haven't seen it. And that is the Nahi Valley, or part of it. I believe that is the south end of it.
That'd be such a great place to set up an expedition to, man.
Oh, yeah. And I'm running through pictures of this place.
Hey, Shelly.
Hey, Shelly. How you doing, dear? Long time no speaking. Or no typing, or whatever you want to call it. I know how busy it can be with life ones. Yeah, and it can be crazy. I've done my time with them, too.
Howdy, Roger.
Hey, Roger. How you doing? But yeah, I was looking through pictures of this, and there's like pictures of people standing there and stuff. And I'm like, I thought you couldn't get into this place, but apparently there is some areas you can get into.
You have to make reservations, though. If you actually go in there, if you go in there without reservations, you have to pay a $25,000 fine.
Well, see, that's what I was always told was you had to have a paper saying you had permission or something. You had to have permission to be there.
Yeah.
Smoochie,
hello. You absolutely do, dude. If you go there without permission or anything like that, it's a $25,000 fine per person. So it's not something you want to mess around with.
Ooh, who is Lore Lodge? I've never heard of that one.
They're pretty good.
Are they?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I didn't like their Skinwalker episode though. They were way off on the Wendigo and Skinwalker episode, and I'm just sitting there going, "No."
Ryan biting his tongue. I'm gonna come in there and correct your butts.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I see that a lot, especially with the Wendigo and Skinwalker. I see it with the Nail Crawlers too. They kind of twist it up a little bit.
Yeah. Well, anything that's indigenous, man, people really confuse it. Hey, Slow-Mo. Oh, hey, Smoochie. I didn't see you come in.
Yep, Smoochie snuck her way in.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm glad. And you are a tough cookie, sweetie. You just hang in there. You need me, you yell. You did get my email, right? It was pretty basic because it's been so nuts here. So yell and let me know if you got it and all that fun stuff. Slow-Mo, what you doing, sir? Across the pond there. Did you make me a cup of coffee? I needed one. Yeah, folks, I was funny. I woke up this morning. I'm thinking.
I got my coffee.
Yeah, I haven't been sleeping. I didn't sleep at all the other night. Well, last night, this morning I fell asleep. It was probably just as the sun was coming up.
Wow.
I was going, okay. I actually slept. I got up. I felt good. I look at the clock. It actually, when I got up, it said 7:30. And I'm going, okay, cool. I got time. I only slept a couple hours. What a bummers. But I slept. I'm running around doing this and piddling around. About noon, I look at my clock and I'm like, it's 9 o'clock. Time is going slow. I got so much done. I go out the living room. I'm like standing looking at the clock with my mouth dropped into the floor. And I'm like, Dad, is it really noon? He goes, yeah. And I go out and grab my clock and go in and show him. No, it's not a carcass. No, it's not.
Oh man, total waste of a day right there too.
Oh, I got stuff done. It just I didn't realize. Oh, and it's almost time to stream.
That's funny.
It was weird because it did. Now I'm all thrown off.
Yeah,
it's like that's Virgo's one of the greatest weakness of a Virgo is time.
Mm-hmm.
We are so detailed in everything we do, and
yes, sir.
It's true.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, one final test will prove that I am. That's good, Shelly. Nope, never got it. Even checked the junk mail. I sent you one. Sent you an email. I even sent it from my PC. Let me check something here real quick, Edna.
Go for it.
Sent it. I know I did.
Oh yeah, and they're talking about the mid-tarsal break on the Bigfoot. That's what it is. It's like right in the middle of the foot. So when they lift their foot, it lifts up and goes down and lifts up and goes down. Mid-tarsal break.
Yes, and I sent it June 18th at 2:54 p.m. I'll resend it to you, hon. I sent it to you. I just said it sent. That's funny. I'll resend it, but it did say it sent. So 7 days ago. Wow. I've sent the first one I sent from my phone. I never used my cloud. People send me stuff on cloud.
Right.
I don't know why, but I guess so I can have it on my phone. So some things are easier to transfer around on my phone.
Well, it's also to save space though. If it goes to your cloud rather than your mailbox, you don't have to worry about the memory getting eaten up.
Yeah. So I have a lot of memory. I got a good PC here.
There you go.
Yeah, I'll resend it, and because it said it sent. I hope I sent it to the same address I've been sending it to. So
weird. Very weird.
Yeah, really weird. Well, the first one I sent, like I said, sent from my phone, and I asked her. She goes, "No, I never got it." Well, the next morning I look, and it said failed. So.
Yeah, Smoochie beat me to it. I was just going to tell you, and that's how you can tell the fake prints from the real prints is if there's no mid-tarsal break, it's fake.
Which makes sense because you got to have that break. Yeah.
Well, it's also really hard to imitate a mid-tarsal break, I would imagine.
Right.
So
yeah, because everyone is different because of the way they lay their feet. You know
right.
But what I'm saying?
With Bigfoot, though, I mean, that's the essential ingredient, if you will.
Yeah.
So, but Nahanni Valley, though, you ready to dive into this topic?
Yes, go ahead. But it amazed me because I was seeing all these pictures with people, and I'm like, what?
Well, it's a national park. You got to remember it is a national park, but you got to get permission to go down there. You can't just go.
Yeah, right.
But it gets its name from the Naha. That was a tribe that actually lived there, and the Naha were known to be really brutal people. They were actually said to be they were said to be cannibals. So. And this tribe of the Naha, the cannibals, they disappeared. They don't know what happened to them. But these guys vanished completely, and they never left a trace.
That's what I've heard too. Hold on, I'm also gonna do this. Go ahead, keep talking, my man.
No, do what you got to do. Do what you got to do.
Yeah, do what you're doing. I am gonna pull up a map.
Okay.
So they can see, the kind of layout.
Nice. All right. Good plan.
You can keep talking.
So anyway,
dead air.
It became a really popular place during the gold rush because, Canada during the gold rush was the place to be. And what ended up happening is a lot of miners were going up there doing their little search for gold, and they would disappear. They would vanish completely without a trace. And then years and years later, they would find their bodies minus their heads. And that's how the place got the name Nahanni Valley. It means the Valley of the Headless Men. But there's a lot of stuff up there. It's not just the Naha, the tribe, the Naha that were up there. You had the Dene, you had different types of animals up there. You had wolves, you had bears. But when you get into the mysteries that were up there, though, that's when it gets really, really interesting because they talk about the Nukuluk, a type of almost like medieval or primeval man, where it was like cavemen. They're Neanderthals, and when people talk about the Nukluck, they talk about them being 5 feet tall with long dark hair, sometimes long dark beards, but they're not wearing clothes, so they're essentially naked men running around in the wild.
Right.
So there's a lot of interesting stuff up in the Nahanni Valley.
Yes, I've got a map here to kind of give you an idea of the layout. Let me see if I can do this without making it too crazy. Why are you going to do that to me now?
You having a hard time there, Ghost?
Well, it's just, you got to get a good size so you can see it. You know what I'm saying?
Sure,
and
sure.
I always seem to screw that up. Let me get it up here. Share screen. No, I don't want to share. No, I'm not the sharing type. No, yes, I am. Okay, there we go. Actually, that's a really good picture.
Yeah, that's good.
But that's the layout of the park. You got to remember, it's up almost real close to Alaska.
Yeah.
So
it's a big place too, though. It's huge.
Now, see, this is where I may have seen people at too, right here. Oh, that's the Deposit. That's not the place I was thinking. I know that there was one picture I was looking at. The people, this is the north end, right? Yeah, that's the north end. I know I've seen people up in this area here, but I'm not positive. And then there's pictures of people down in here. But I don't know if it's just a picture of them looking into the valley, you know, from the.
It could be. It could be.
So, yeah. But there's also a map that tells you where everything at. I believe, if I do this right, one sec. Make sure I get this right. The whole place is not considered the Headless Valley. Isn't it just one area?
Yeah. Yeah, it's just one area of it, but you know, I mean, you're allowed to go there, but you got to get permission, you got to make reservations, and you got to go in by boat, or you can hike in there. So, I mean, only 2 ways to really get up there.
And I guess the hike is brutal.
It is. They say it's a really hard hike that if you're not experienced in doing that sort of thing, you probably shouldn't attempt it.
Right.
So that says a lot right there. I mean, if it's such a brutal trip up there, you know, why is it that way if it's a national park? Doesn't make a lot of sense.
I'm just trying to make sure. There was a map that had like all the locations. And I was trying to find it. I should have kept it and I didn't, which is my fault.
You got to be more prepared, Ghost. More prepared.
Yeah, I did have everything downloaded, but Ding Dong Me did a system check this morning and it gets rid of all the unused stuff.
Oops.
Oops. And I'm like, ooh. But it happens. Hey, what do I do? You know?
That's like me, man. Last night I was working on writing my book and I was so tired. I didn't even really think. I turned off my computer and as I walked away from it, I was like, I forgot to save the document, didn't I? And yeah, I did. I was so mad at myself, man. I was cursing at myself as I'm trying to get ready for bed, but I'll rewrite it later today. It's all good.
Now I can't even find where I picked it up from. It was on images and now I can't find it. But it gave each location. Wait a minute, here we go. Maybe that was it.
Yeah, Miss Wendy, that's basically correct. Yeah. I mean, they'll give you permission to go up there, but they're basically telling you, yeah, you got to, you know, afford everything yourself and you're not our responsibility anymore once you go.
Yeah, pretty much at your own risk.
Yeah.
You know, and that's if you can get permission. Sometimes I've heard they've denied people.
Yep, they have. They don't allow you to go hunting up there either, which is really, really interesting.
So what do you do? I mean, you got to take a weapon or something. I would never go.
Well, you can take a weapon. You can definitely take, you know, a sidearm or something for survival. Right. But if you ask to go up there to go hunting, they'll tell you straight up, nope.
Oh, here we go. Let's see if this one will load for me. So I think this one was it. Sometimes you get it and then they won't let you, you know, show it. You have to go through like Google Docs or something.
Yep.
And it's such a hassle. Let me make sure I can get this up here. Oh, yay. It worked.
You got it.
And I'm going to switch here. I'm going to stop sharing this one.
Yeah, and you can bring a rifle or a shotgun, but you have to tell them explicitly that, this is just a just in case kind of situation. Yeah. So, but if you ask them to go hunting, they're going to tell you, yeah, nope, denied.
Nope, not happening. There we go. Now let's see if I can blow this up. I'm going to blow it up.
So, Miss Wendy, it's a little bit of both. I mean, it's really difficult to navigate if you're hiking. And, there's things they're probably trying to protect up there, too. There's very rich lore up there. So
very rich and all kinds of stories.
Oh, yeah. Where should I start? Do you want me to start with the Bigfoot stuff? Do you want me to start with the other?
Actually, just go with whatever you feel is more. I always go with the gut. So if you feel like starting with Bigfoot, start with Bigfoot, because I'll make it a slow burn. There, Bigfoot, ghosts, strange and unusual cryptids. So
not really Dogman. Dogman hasn't really been seen up there.
I've heard stories about Dogman being in it.
No. What people are doing is they're taking something called the Shunkawarakeen. Okay, it's known as the carry-off dogs, and it's a canine-like cryptid, but it resembles more like either a white wolf or a spotted hyena, depending on what story you're reading. But it was never said as Dogman, and I think a lot of people are taking things like the Wahida and the Shunkawarakeen, and they're putting it in the Dogman category when they shouldn't.
Right.
So, but both the Shunkawarakeen and the Wahila are known to carry off dogs. The reason why they call it carry off dogs, a lot of the tribes used to say how early in the morning this creature would come down from the mountains and literally kill the dogs in the village, and carry them off. So
now, see, I've heard those stories.
Mm-hmm.
I have heard those stories, and we'll just go ahead and start with the Bigfoot stuff, and then we'll just progress as we go.
Okay, so there's two different types of Bigfoot that are supposed to be up there. I think there's more than two. So you got the Nukluk, which are like the cavemen type. They always describe them as being more Neanderthal or more human-like in appearance, with the long dark hair, the long beards, and everything like that. And they're not too badly behaved. But then you got the Nakani. Okay, the Nakani are also supposed to be a type of Bigfoot, and the tribes, the Dene tribe that lived up there, they were so fearful of the Nakani Bigfoot that what they would do is every night, the tribesmen with the guns would actually create like a perimeter, and they would fire off their muskets into the forest just to make sure there was none of these Bigfoots hanging around, because these Bigfoots would come in and they would steal up the squaws. They would steal up the women, and they would take them back to the caves and devour them. So interesting little Bigfoot thing there. Mm-hmm. I think there's a third type. I think there's a very, very.
I was going to ask you, what do you think? What do you think, Bigfoot wise, is all up there?
Well, with the third one, I haven't talked about this one yet. If you guys have ever heard of a Gugwe, okay, there was an infamous picture taken of a Gugwe known as the Beast of Seven Shoots, which is also in Canada. It's not too far from the Honey Valley. The Gugwe are known as the face eaters, okay? Now, the Micmac tribes and the Iroquois and even the Algonquin will talk about the Gugwe coming in, and they will take the heads off of their prey. They'll actually come in and just twist the heads right off or eat the heads right off. Now, kind of hold that in the same place there, Ghost, where Gugwe will take off the heads. They're known as face eaters. You got Nahanni Valley, the Valley of the Headless. Kind of makes you wonder if those Gugwe are living up there.
Now, I'm trying to find it because they don't have it on this map. I believe it's in here somewhere, up and in here somewhere, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And then I've also heard it was over here. So I know it's in this side, in this area in here.
Right.
Because I see they give you the valleys names because, you know, you're in a mountain range and a valley and a bunch of valley, and it has valleys within the valleys.
Mm-hmm.
From all the pictures I've looked at and all the pictures I've seen years ago of this place going through, it is a beautiful place from afar.
Mm-hmm.
But some of the most beautiful places in the world are some of the most deadly places in the world.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Edna, you got to remember when it comes to a lot of the indigenous tribes, when they're saying giant, sometimes they're actually talking about Sasquatch, because to them, Sasquatch were giants. Like in the case of the Chinookwa, which is also a Canadian version of Bigfoot. The name means stonish giant.
Actually, in most cultures, Bigfoot in the day that I know have been called giants because of their size. So it's not uncommon for people to say the hairy giants or the hairy big men.
Oh yeah, Miss Wendy, I absolutely believe that the further north you go, the bigger the Bigfoot get.
You go. I mean, from what I've seen of the terrain, just through pictures and stuff, it gets harder and harder when you go north.
Yes,
the terrain gets a little more intense. There's actually like places that's, looks like it'd be really hard to even set up a campsite. You would literally have to go down by the rivers or the creeks to camp.
Right.
Where you're going to camp anyways. But
if you look at wildlife, though, in Canada and Alaska, their animals tend to be a lot bigger than the ones we have in the States. I mean, look at, their version of wolves. Canadian wolves are a lot bigger than the wolves you find in the States, and then polar bears in Alaska, polar bears are ginormous. I mean, you can compare them with a grizzly, but polar bears are bigger than grizzlies.
Yes. And a lot of people don't realize, but polar bears are smarter than most bears. They were
more aggressive.
They will hunt in a fashion just like a human. They will taunt you. They will play you. Once they wound you and know they got you down, even if you're holding a gun, they will just mess with you until they decide they're good and ready to finish the job. I've heard stories of men that were their plane had gone down and they were actually surrounded by polar bears and they were literally picking them off one by one. And it's messed up. They're like really, really good hunters. They've been known to, just even come in closer to land and go after wolves and moose. So,
well, if you've ever seen a polar bear hunt seals, you can see how smart they are because they'll actually wait by the holes that the seals go into the water, and they'll wait outside. So when a seal pops its head up, they just boom, snatch it right out of the water.
They lay down because they're white. They blend in with.
So, Smoochie, that really depends on which tribe you're talking about. Like, not all indigenous tribes refer to Bigfoot in the same fashion. Some of them have very, very, very different beliefs. To some tribes, he's good. To some tribes, he's evil. It really depends on which area you're looking at, which tribe. Like the Cherokee do not believe Bigfoot is a good thing, at all. When you look at the Iroquois, though, the Iroquois refer to him as the Quiche Sabe, and he's one of the teachers of the 7 grandfather laws.
Now, Ron here, he's one of the reasons why we went ahead and did this today, because his great-grandfather got lost in the Nahi Valley and never returned.
So I am so happy that Ron said that because, there was something that somebody actually brought up to me when I was actually studying the Nahi Valley. They knew I was a big Wendigo researcher as well. So the Naha, the tribe that were cannibals, right? So they disappeared, but here we know that they were cannibalistic, right? How does one become a Wendigo usually? In the most popular stories you hear of the Wendigo, it was a cannibal, yeah? So the Naha disappeared after practicing cannibalism for so long. What if there was a forest spirit involved? And that forest spirit was there a form of the Wendigo?
And maybe they all became Wendigos.
Maybe.
And maybe that's why the sightings are so prolific in the Nahi Valley.
So it's an idea. I mean, they don't really mention Wendigo within the Nahi Valley too much, but then again, we wouldn't know the name that the Naha gave the Wendigo. They disappeared. We wouldn't have any record of what they said. So maybe it's a form of it.
Which is possible. I mean, you have offshoots of almost everything.
Oh, you absolutely do. And like every tribe has a belief in, Wendigo and skinwalkers in some form or fashion. It might not line up to be precise with and match each tribe exactly, but they have some kind of form of it. I mean, if you look at the name, if you look at the spelling of the name, the Wendigo, right? There's over like there's over 30 different versions of the name itself, and these are all from different tribes. So the Naha might have had their own belief in it, and maybe because they were cannibals, that's where they disappeared to.
Right. And it, I mean, I'm telling you, that valley, some of the things I've read and seen on other shows and stuff, what's always intrigued me is they see spirits there too.
Yes, they do. Yes.
There's an account, and I'm gonna have to look it up. I read it on one of these like paranormal sites where this guy happened to bring up his encounter of an uncle or something that they were Native American and had gone not all the way in or had attempted to go in to the valley. And he didn't get in very far before he said he literally was scared that it looked like an Indian tribe standing on one of the side of the banks, but they were all like just in spirit. He said they were just all standing like beside trees.
Interesting.
And he said they didn't make a noise. They just kind of, he saw them. It's like they came, he didn't see them, and then they were there.
Nice.
And he's watching them come in. And he said the closer he came in on the river, the closer it seemed they were coming to the edge of the bank. So he turned his boat around and started dragging it down the other side of the bank because they were on one side and he went to the other side. He said he literally dragged it out, you know, because the current going through there is pretty stout from what I understand.
Right.
So so he ended up and he got out, and he said he had nightmares for months.
Interesting.
Of these people telling him that he should have never been there, that he didn't have a right to be there, that this was sacred land, and if he ever came back, he would never leave. And he said this went on for months, and then it just went away.
Wow. Hey, Mama Cindy, you know, that kind of goes along the lines of what I was saying too, though, because like, you know, the Cherokee have the Nahula, the night people, right? And some of these night people, what they were is they were the older members of the tribe that had passed, and their spirits stayed attached to the land. So again, there's a similarity in tribal belief right there, you know. And with Nahanni Valley, they've seen all kinds of weird things. They see, you know, spook lights, they see UFOs, they see the ghosts, the spirits, like you said. They even say they see dinosaurs up in Nahanni Valley, you know. So yeah, there's supposed to be like a little patch of it that's almost like a proverbial Garden of Eden. You know, it's supposed to be a paradise, and they say they see mammoths, they see, you know, the T-Rexes and stuff running around up there. So there's a lot
that's up in here, up in the there. I keep doing that. I'm realizing that I'm doing this, and up here in the north, I believe it becomes from about here up. It becomes really, really, really intense. Well, it's all dense forest.
Yeah,
but as you get up here in this Y here, all this is really dense. It's as I was told, in some areas you can't even see the sun when it's out. Because the forest is so thick that it literally blocks the sun out and gives a kind of eerie. So yeah, I can understand that. I always like the name of this one lake that's up there. It's called Rabbit Kettle Lake. It's so weird. There's also, I believe, either close to here or inside the Nahanni Valley, I've seen pictures of aerial view of a lake that literally looks like a giant human footprint.
Yep. Yeah.
And there's actually two, because one looks like it's lifting up.
Yeah. It's a fascinating place, to say the least, man. I mean, if none of these things exist up there, if there's no dinosaurs or anything, let's play a conspiracy theorist for a minute here. Yeah. So if none of that stuff exists, then why is it so hard to go up there? Why is it you need permission? You know, I mean, what are they hiding up there? What's really going on where they don't want you to see this stuff?
Right, exactly. Well, you know, some things are best hidden out and open, but
yeah, I was going to say that.
Better maybe in the dark. And
maybe I think it's not just a national park. Maybe it's a reserve for certain things that are supposed to be extinct.
Well, you know, like in the Grand Canyon, there's area they don't even, I believe, at this moment in time,
Mm-hmm.
you're not allowed to down in the bottom. They have
No,
actually
no, you're
closed
not.
it all off now. You
Yep.
can't even raft there anymore.
No. Grand Canyon's another interesting place, man. I mean, they
Yeah,
talk
we'll have
about
to
how
talk
there's
about
like,
it too.
yeah, they talk about how there's Egyptian pyramids down there. There's supposed to be lost gold mines down there.
Yes.
All kinds of weird stuff. All kinds of weird
Now,
stuff. Arizona's just weird, man.
It is. It is. But see, the desert, I always said the desert is just as much a mystical place than a forest is.
Yeah, you know what,
There
Ron?
is very
I would
something
agree.
supernatural about the desert.
Yes. Oh, dude, definitely. Definitely.
Lotus.
You know, with all the
I'm
tribes
sorry.
that we had here, with all the tribes that we've had in Arizona, you know, they bless their land. The land is very sacred to all tribes. You know, they don't
Right.
take it for granted like we do. You know, I mean, not to sound racist here, but us white folk, we don't treat the land the way we should. Okay. And the indigenous tribes, they knew how to treat the land sacred. They blessed it. It was important to them. It was as much a part of their life. Yeah.
They were
it was
one with
part of their lives, you know? So I think there's a lot of energies that come from lands like in Arizona. I really do.
Oh, hold on.
Swilmo, yes. I just watched that last night. It's so funny that you brought that up.
I have that movie. I love that movie. It's one of my favorite. People gave it a hard time, but see, that was another one of those movies I saw at the drive-in when I was a kid.
Yep. Yep.
One sec. I'm gonna take a quick break.
Okay.
Lotus, I'm glad he's going home. Blessings to you both. Now, when you get home, please rest. You need it too, honey.
Yep.
Okay, back to normal again.
Time to relax and recoup for you both.
You know, actually, that's interesting because Valley of the Guanji, it takes place, I believe, in New Mexico.
Yeah.
The filming was done in New Mexico. Now, is there a place like that there in the Nahi Valley or River Valley?
It could be.
Whatever you want to call it.
Could be.
I believe they're highly possible. I mean, there's places along the Amazon River that no man has ever stepped foot in, except for maybe the tribes that live there.
Right.
There are places on those big, huge mountains that are literally worlds of their own.
Right.
You know, you literally have places on top of these mountains that are the size of New York. And then they have valleys in there. There's cracks in some of those places.
Right.
That they have actually started going into and finding species we've never even seen.
Yep.
Especially spider species.
I don't understand why it's got to be spiders. Dude, I'm so terrified of spiders. I'm an arachnophobe big time.
I'm not. For a person that sees a lot of creepy looking spider things, I'm not afraid of them.
I'd be all the more reason to be an arachnophobe, man. If I see a human-like spider, my fear of spiders is not going to go away. It's going to intensify. That's all I'm going to say.
And I didn't start seeing those till later on in life. So it's like I never was afraid of spiders. So I just, with the weird stuff I seen, I just kind of wrote it off with another weird thing. But when you guys,
I still think you need to look into the meaning of spiders. Like look into different cultures.
I have been.
Have
I'm
you?
not going to say anything until I feel like I've come to a conclusion.
Okay. That'd be a good idea because I mean, it's interesting that you keep seeing spider-like beings. I think there's something to that.
Quite a bit, actually.
Yeah, there's something to that. It's not a coincidence. There's no such thing as coincidences.
There you go. I've seen a clip on Facebook about an underground city in the ground. Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, I was listening to an old radio show the other day. I don't know if anybody in the chat remembers a show Lights Out.
Yes.
It was popular during the 30s, 40s, and 50s.
Yes.
Well, check this out, Ghost. Actually, I was going to send it to you. So this one was actually made in 1941, okay? And the story takes place in the Grand Canyon, all right? And it's about a archaeology student who goes into these caves with his professor. The professor ends up getting killed, and he's facing off against something that you don't really understand what it is at first. But when you really listen, Ghost, it's the pale crawlers. So they were talking about pale crawlers.
Yeah, send me that one because my dad has talked to this show. He said this show was like the Art Bell before its time.
Yes, there's some good episodes.
Yeah. Slow-mo on your comment here. Yes, actually there is. And because China's kind of not in a good place and hasn't been for a while, it's hard to get to those places because they limit and they hide everything like that. There are a number of caves along the northern part of the country that are so deep that one man said that they could literally probably lead to a whole different type of world. They do tend to have their own weather. It's weird. The same thing up in Siberia. There are caves, and now they're seeing stuff now that the thermofrost is starting to melt. You're not only finding dinosaur bones, but they're finding possible villages and stuff that may have existed.
Interesting.
And it's being kept pretty quiet. That was something I ran into about a week ago when I was. See, people say the dark web is a bad place. It's bad if you go looking for the bad.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's like anything,
you
man.
Get on there. It's just like any other thing. It's just a little more secretive. I always go to documents and stuff and look at documents and stuff. You wouldn't believe see, in other countries, they don't have the freedom we have here on the internet.
Nope.
So they use the dark web to pass information back and forth.
Yes.
That's one of the reasons why it exists in the first place.
So Ron's got a good question too.
Yeah. Who?
Ron Forrest. He's got a good question.
Let's pop him up there then. Go ahead and read it.
So, Ron, what do I think was responsible for the headless men? I think it's a number of things. Okay. I think the Naha tribe that disappeared, I don't think they disappeared completely. I think they just took on a different form thanks to their cannibalism. I have to wonder if maybe the Gugwi that I mentioned earlier play a part. I don't think the Shunkawarakin was a part of the decapitations, because why would a canine just eat the head? A canine's going to eat your whole body. It's not going to just take the head.
They waste nothing. They waste
right.
Nothing.
So I think it's a number of things. I don't think it can just be accredited to just one specific thing. I think there's numerous things at play here.
I do too, because there is so much lore that come out of that valley that is so different. I mean, you hear so many different stories that's taking place. A lot of these stories taking place during the 17 and 1800s. You get some tribal stories, but people did. See, the thing was, this valley was, because gold was so rich up in the Northwest territories, a lot of people tried to get in looking for gold.
Yes. A lot of miners went up there.
Yeah.
And, I mean, Yukon territory.
And the ones
it's not too far from the Yukon territory. And, during that gold rush, they went to the Yukons and everything, trying to find every scrap of gold they could.
Yes. And the ones that did make it out were often said mentally messed up, were never the same, told just outrageous stories that nobody ever really believed. There were stories of pterodactyls and and raptors, feathered raptors. There is a story I read from like the late 1800s of somebody describing to me a feathered raptor, which is before what they thought raptors looked like.
Yeah, a lot of people think that the velociraptors you see in Jurassic Park are accurate, and they're actually not accurate at all. That's more closely in line with the Deinonychus. That's not Velociraptor, but there were different subspecies of raptors. I mean,
and they were small.
Bird of prey. Yeah, raptor means bird of prey. So raptors were itty bitty little dudes. They were little birds, little chickens with really bad attitudes.
Well, there were some bigger than the size of dogs. But yes, they weren't like 6 foot tall, 5 foot tall.
Right. And Smoochie, since you're going to make that joke that maybe the head is the best part, I mean, everybody can go for a little head, right?
Oh, now be careful. Yeah, we're okay. It was, but see, the head, the brain holds a lot of protein. A lot of cannibals will eat the brain first, and cannibals believe your brain and your heart hold vital spiritual energy.
Yes. I was going to say that.
When you eat the brain, you gain their knowledge, you gain their substance of thought.
Yep. Yeah, a lot of cultures, when they defeated you, the first thing they would remove your head.
Yes.
As a sign of victory, as a way of, saying that they defeated you.
Right. I was trying to go over this map. It's amazing how big this place really is.
Yeah, it's huge. You could get lost in there so easily.
Any more? Let's go. Okay, now that we've talked a little bit about Bigfoot, let's talk a little. Do you have any of the good stories? I don't tell stories very good. Any of the other entities that may roam.
Well, sure. I mean, like the Shunkawarakeen. I mean, that's something that it started in Canada, but a lot of people are seeing similar creatures down here in the States. You know, I mean, there was one guy who thought he saw a timber wolf, but it was too big to be a wolf. It was huge compared to his dog.
Kind of like
and I gotta wonder, yeah, and I gotta wonder if maybe that was actually the Shunkawarakeen, because they found out dire wolves actually weren't related to wolves ghost. So were the dire wolves really the Shunkawarakeen with a different name?
I was just gonna say that because I don't know whoever created the name dire wolf. I never looked into that, but I had heard the same, that maybe they are one of the same. That,
yeah, I think they are. I really think that they're the same thing, a different name. Yeah. Oh yeah.
And people don't understand there is a difference between those two types of wolves. A dire wolf is big. Well, I'm going to call them dire wolves because I can't say the other name, but a dire wolf is huge. It is massive. They have been compared to the size of a rhino in some instances. They do know they existed. There's a lady that breeds these really huge wolves up in Canada or Alaska somewhere, and she always posts pictures. Yeah, and she posts pictures. They're beautiful animals. But and there's a footage of a guy that was out with his dog, and the dog, they could see something. It was huge, laying in a field where it was amongst trees, but it was kind of sprawled out. And the dog went up to it and was coming up to it, barking at it, and it stood up, and it looked like a dire wolf. Yeah. This thing was huge. He still has not told anybody what happened to his dog. He will not do interviews. Whatever it was, it scared the piss out of him.
I think wolves in general, a lot of people think that wolves are the size of your dog, but they're not. I remember when I saw a wolf for the first time. When I saw a timber wolf, I was just like, oh my God. I didn't think they got that big.
The dogs that they use to guard, the big, huge ones you always see now that everybody's pumping, I can't remember their name.
The Mastiff?
They're just as big as those guys. These dogs will actually hunt down lions and tigers. These wolves are just a tad bit bigger than them. And a regular wolf is probably just about the same size, if not body-wise, a little more massive. Timber wolves are interesting animals anyways.
Yes.
And they're very, very intelligent. A lot intelligent more than your coyote, because a lot of people play coyotes off as kind of junkies, as I call them. But they are very smart. But I've actually heard people call them the hyenas of the Americas, because they're more like scavengers now.
Yeah.
And but you don't want to mess with a coyote either. They'll hunt in a pack, or they will hunt by themselves if they have to.
Well, here what you got to be careful of is coyotes will trick you. What they'll do is they'll send one out, and he or she will act like she's wounded. She'll limp. She'll they'll scamper around acting like they're hurt. And when you go out to check on that hurt coyote, it's when the pack comes up, and they'll get you as a whole group.
Yeah, a coyote's about the size of a shepherd, maybe a little taller, not much. They're smaller in frame. They're skinnier. Their legs are more fine in tone.
Yep. That's true. But no, like with the Shunkawarakeen and the Wahila, it's really interesting because it kind of fits into a theory that my friend Kenny Thibodeau is working with. He's looking into the cave hyenas, and the cave hyenas kind of match up perfectly with both the Shunkawarakeen and the Wahila. So I'm kind of wondering if they're a little hairier, but you got to remember though, in prehistoric times, things were different physically. They had the same genetics, but they were furrier, they were muscular, they had thicker bone density. So I think my friend Kenny's really onto something there as far as cryptozoology goes with those things.
That's actually pretty smart. I mean, that makes sense.
Yep. It does.
The koi wolf. There's a
Yep, that's hybrid at its best. Hybriding right out in nature.
Actually, I had a husky. We couldn't keep it because he was so hyper, and he would chase everything.
He was part coyote, huh?
He was part. He had one blue eye and one brown eye. His blue eye was blue as the sky.
Right.
We believe he was blind out of that eye. But come to later, he had real long legs. I come out, we take him to the vet, do a DNA test. I had him do a DNA test. Turns out he had coyote. He had been bred, a husky had been bred with a coyote.
Interesting, because I got a friend here that has the same thing. Her German Shepherd actually was a part coyote as well.
Yeah, it's so wild that they do this, and it's like, man, what are you doing messing with stuff like that? But
it's not really anybody messing with it purposely, though, because I mean, out in Arizona especially, we have a lot of stray dogs or dogs that they just they let run on a property without a leash or whatever. The owners, and some owners just let their dogs go out and do whatever they want. Sometimes those dogs, when they're outside playing around, they breed with coyotes.
Well, and we're talking about breeding like that. It's highly possible in Nahi Valley that these things, because they're combined to this valley, you don't know what's breeding with what.
No. Life always finds a way, like Jeff Goldblum said in Jurassic Park. Life found a way.
And it does. 1 second. Excuse me there. You can only imagine the species that they haven't discovered here. I mean, we're talking, people have seen dinosaurs. There's a story that I read that was just in the early mid-19. It was after, he was driving flying one of those little biplanes. They had there. So, and he was flying over the valley. And I guess you have to have almost permission to do that.
Nowadays you do. Back in the day, not so much, but nowadays, yes.
And they were taking pictures, and I'll see if I can find it. But there's a picture of these. It looked like 3 or 4 large creatures running into the forest. They hear the plane, and they're running, and they're large. At first, it looked like they were mammoths, but they had necks on them.
Interesting.
So I'm wondering if we got some kind of brontosaurus or something down there.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, the dinosaur geek in me wants to believe there are dinosaurs out there.
Yes, I believe that some species manage to survive. I mean, there are places we have never touched. I mean, it's bad enough we talk about our oceans because our oceans, we're just now, and even they do it with hesitation. So you wonder why with the ocean, why they're so hesitant about going deep. But there are little places, even in this America, that no man has ever stepped for.
True. Well, I mean, when you look at a lot of indigenous tribes too, they have stories of great serpents swimming in their lakes, or reptilian-like monsters running around on 2 legs. How do we know they're not describing dinosaurs? I mean, we get dinosaurs wrong. We have science at our disposal. Back in the day, those tribes didn't have any access to modern day science. So if they saw a dinosaur, they're not going to know what a dinosaur is. Hey, they're not going to use the term dinosaur.
Well, hello, little lady. We have company. I'm going to bring her in here in a little bit and let her get situated.
Yes, slow motion, the Mokele Membe.
Yes. Actually, there's that movie, Baby. I always did love that movie.
That's a great movie. That's such an underrated gem that really nobody knows about anymore.
Yes, my kids loved that movie.
I did too growing up.
Let me do this. I'm going to take this down. We have a visitor.
Uh-oh.
So let's bring her in.
We're in trouble now, Ghost.
And we can actually, if when we're not done with some topic, and if you want to carry it over to next Tuesday, we can do that, because we could go on this one forever if we really wanted to.
Yeah, we
could, like we've been doing, mixing in some of these other places like this too, like the Congo and the Amazon, because They all have a lot in common.
Yes.
Well, here's our little lady of the channel. There she is.
Hello, Gemstones. I didn't want to interrupt.
Hello,
I was
hello.
texting you, like, take your time. Everything's fine. I don't have makeup on. So this is what you see is what you get. I'm in
You're
mom mode.
lovely as always.
Yeah, do something about this. Anyway, so good to see all you guys. And I wanted to pop in because I don't want to be not around. The issue that I'm having, and I'll just be really quick, is I've got my little guy home for summer break. I haven't yet found something for him to do, but I am currently looking, and I think I may have found something. So I need to take about like a week or two off. We're going into the second week. What's more than likely going to happen is the pre-recorded video or videos is going to be on Thursdays for the summer months because I can get it done during the week. I can film it on Sunday and have it edited out by Thursday. I'm trying to continue to give you guys as much content as possible. What's up, guys? Oh, I miss you so much. But without real help and anyone else understanding in my home, like what I'm, you're so sweet, what I'm trying to do and like backing me up. I can't just be like, hey, I've got, work today. And then my partner will say, oh, that's great, I'll take him. That's just not my life, which is okay. So I just don't want to lose you guys. I've been trying to do as much short form content as possible. And you might see a lot of me like this simply because I don't have the time. But come September, we'll go back to regular schedule. Hopefully I'll be even bigger by then because my channel is growing so much. And I don't want that to stop. My girl could wear a potato sack. Thank you. I actually have on my Gemma Jade merch today. One of my favorite shirts. So I just wanted to connect with you guys. My evening is free. It's so crazy because I would have so many babysitters if any of y'all lived near me. Any of y'all. So Ryan and Steven, I want to thank you guys too for doing such amazing work and just
my pleasure.
Going because Ghostdragonzw already does so many streams by himself. So to have you as an addition kind of worked out perfectly, and I didn't even plan it that way. I wasn't like, let me bring Ryan in as a replacement, but it actually really did work out. So I don't know what Miss Lara is doing. She's kind of still struggling. So you guys still have Thursday nights unless she tells me something different. Okay. And this is exactly what I mean. I can't even talk for 5 minutes. He's a mama's boy. So, yep, Gemma Jade, I'm strapped. I'm strapped with Gemma stuff today. Guys, I'm still doing anything I do on TikTok. If I can, I'm bringing it over to YouTube. So if I know a lot of y'all don't want to deal with TikTok, stop it. And that's okay. So I'm trying to bring whatever isn't like copyrighted, wherever's my original material, like the reading. So I'm still doing the weeklies. I'm still doing the monthlies. I still am offering personals. You just got to email me about that or text me. Most of y'all have my number. What's up, Ron? Life with Bobby, Aunt Edna, Slow Motion, John P. Adventures, Miss Smoochie Girl, Cindy Lee. Let me say hi to everyone. My little guy wants to say hi because he's a ham like me. I don't normally come on camera. Yeah, his dad doesn't really like it, and I get it because he's little. But of course, I'm gonna let him say hello. Anyone that I miss, Miss Lotus Girl. We're still praying for Miss Lotus Girl and Porky Pie. He did get.
They were on. They stopped in, and they were actually checking out.
Good. So, yeah, I didn't want to interrupt. That's why I came on at the end. And you guys are just doing such amazing work and such an amazing job. Ryan, I love you to pieces. You're my little brother. If you need me personally, you can always reach out. Like I told you yesterday, I mean, still from New Jersey. Put that out there publicly. I don't play about my family. So other than that, I love you guys. RJ, if you'd like to come say hi now, you can do that. And then we're going to go.
Oh, come on. Little man.
He stood here the whole time. And as soon as I was ready to call him, he moved.
Hey, little man. Come and say hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, little man.
So this is my job this summer. And Mom, can we keep him? Yeah. So that's my job this summer. But I will do everything I can.
That's the best job you'll ever have right there.
It is. It's the most important. He's about to be 6. So we're planning his big party. And I'm not going to get these moments back. So I do enjoy it. I just don't want to lose you guys in the process. You guys are my friends, my family, and my career. Let's be honest. So needed to make an appearance. Ghost, whenever you have time, you're wanted on Fortnite. And just, I love you guys so much. I'm going to head out now and get back to you doing mom stuff. So
you have a good time.
Have a great day. Bye, guys.
Bye.
So.
You're killing me.
Yeah, and I saw what you said too about Bigfoot back there, and I absolutely believe that Bigfoot is a real creature. Nobody is going to convince me that Bigfoot is not real.
I believe that too.
I have a very weird view on Bigfoot, though. I really do. I actually kind of have like a spiritual attachment to Bigfoot now, because I've spoken to so many indigenous people and I've spent time with them. I kind of adopted their views on it, that it's a spiritual being, not just some wild thing running around in the woods.
Right.
I think I'm a little romantic with Bigfoot. I think that's my problem, is I have this great love story for it. So
yeah, and see, the thing with me and Bigfoot, even though I think I'm gonna call him Grassman, and I still to this day think I might have seen somebody in a gunny suit, but it was big, and whoever it was big and moving fast. Well, was that they do a lot of illegal turkey hunting and stuff.
Yeah, but why is it so hard for you to believe that maybe you did see the Grassman, though?
Because I've always heard rumors down by these cabins that he has been seen a lot. Yeah. But I'm so used to seeing my crazy stuff, and not to say I haven't seen my share of pale crawlers.
Right.
That's probably, other than the wolf-like creature we saw that one time, that would probably be the only two cryptids that I've ever seen. So when I still kind of replay this incident in my head, because it happened so fast.
That's how most encounters are.
Yes. It was funny because I brought a camera with me and I set it up on a tripod, and I had been running it at night and never caught a thing. And the one time that I didn't have it running, it comes. So that night I made sure I put it on the edge of the little porch, so it actually was kind of hidden between these two bushes, but it had a pretty good view straight out to the thing. I mean, it caught peacocks, it caught turkey once in a while, maybe a wild dog, because there's wild dogs down there like crazy.
Yeah.
But nothing like that. Now,
interesting.
I will say that night in the cabin, one of the nights in the cabin was really weird. I kept hearing, and I kept going out and looking with my camera. I kept hearing somebody yelling, "Hey, hey, hey." And it was freaking me out, but it only happened that one night. And believe me, at one point, it was like 3:00 in the morning, because I don't sleep. And I went out and started walking. I even was going, I had a flashlight. It was going around going, what's going on? I mean, it was loud and it was clear. Hey.
Interesting.
Hey, and then there were times it literally sounded like they were either standing on the porch or right behind the cabin. And there's like a little jacuzzi back there. And I'd hear splashing.
Interesting.
And it was like,
hey, Bet Mom.
So yeah, but when that happened, it was so upset that I couldn't catch him again.
Yeah, but I mean,
it really looked like a guy in a gunny suit. This thing, if it was what I think it was, if it was a grassman, it really looked like it had leaves and grass, like tied into its fur. That's why I still think it's how a gunny suit, you can tell when you see it.
That's the thing, though, is like, Bigfoot have been seen with wearing some kind of camouflage. They get the shrubs and everything, they get it caught in their fur. When you're in a place like Ohio, when you're walking through ponds, you're walking through fields, you're walking through forests, you're going to get stuff caught on you. You're going to get debris from the forest caught on you. And in Ohio, that would be super advantageous to that Bigfoot, because he's camouflaged. So I still think you might have seen a Bigfoot. I don't think it was a guy in a ghillie suit. I think you might have seen a Bigfoot.
I think it was too, more and more that I think about it, because this thing, I actually chased after it. And there's an embankment. When it went across, it goes down a hill. And then there's a little creek. And when it ran by and I caught it, I'm like, holy crap. And I got up and I started running. I actually thought at the moment, I actually did think it was somebody in a gunny suit. And you can hear
we missed a question. We missed a question from Mamba Cindy. she asked us about puckwudgies, and it's really interesting that Mama Cindy asked about puckwudgies. I got a friend who actually excels in puckwudgie studies, Susie Bastille. You guys should check her out. But I think I encountered a puckwudgie. I know I encountered a very tiny person that was about this big when I was in the desert. So I think that was a puckwudgie. I do believe they're a very important and spiritual kind of being. I don't think they're the evil little creatures that a lot of people paint them out to be. I think they're kind of like everything else, that if you respect them, they're going to respect you. But the minute you start disrespecting them, that's when they mess with you.
That to me sounds like part of the Fae family.
It could
like
be.
Troll or...
we got to be careful, though, because when we take Fae, because Fae isn't a Native American term, okay?
No.
So when we take things like
English
or whatever, like I have a big problem with Christian people and Catholic people calling everything that the indigenous people talk about, they call them demons. And it's like, well, no, they have a different belief. Don't paint their belief with your belief.
Yeah,
I
understand that, because what they see is different from, what they believe is different than what we believe, just like any other culture.
Yes.
When I was in Japan, it was really weird because I would say something, they go, oh, no. That's not how we see it. We see it this way, and this is why we see it. And so I get that.
Yeah. I think we just got to be really careful. I think that when we talk about indigenous beliefs, we got to separate ourselves from our own religions and focus on their beliefs.
Well, I'm just saying, because there's a number of these, not just them, but other places where they speak of little entities and flying little entities. And to me, that, Fae is just a general term for kind of like a fantasy supernatural kind of beings.
Right. I get what you're saying.
That live in like a different realm that kind of cross back and forth. So I use that as like a broad spectrum. I mean, these things that you're speaking of, is it Wanji, or is that how you say it?
Puckwudgie? You mean puckwudgies? Yeah, puckwudgies.
Yeah, okay. To me, they do. I don't want to say a troll, but it sounds. But see, these things seem to be living in these areas, right? They treat them like they do some Fae. There's some Fae you would leave tobacco or drinks out for them, and this sounds like the same kind of thing, but it's different, but it kind of runs that same gambit. That's why I say it like that.
Well, you know where the whole tobacco thing comes from, right? You know why they use it?
I always thought it was like a medical thing at first. I mean,
no, it's because
used as a
tobacco is very, very sacred. So it's
I was going to say as ceremony and everything else.
Yeah, it's a natural plant. So my friend he's a Dene, he's Navajo, right? I got to smoke a peace pipe with him, and this was our way of actually praying, because they believe that when you take in the smoke and you hold it in your lungs, it's taking your prayers, so that when you exhale, the smoke that goes up to the sky, it brings your prayers to the Great Spirit. So he gets your prayers. He hears your prayers through your smoke, through your exhaling of the smoke. So it's a beautiful story with the tobacco. That's why I'm so in love with the indigenous lore, because everything's so beautiful, dude.
Yes, Slow, this is very true. This is pretty much the basis of all that.
Yes.
I even get that. It just, some of the like the things they see. Is that the one is that the one in Africa? The ones the really weird baboon looking things in Africa. I can't say their names either.
Okay.
For some reason. You know who I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
They're seeing quite a bit.
Yes. There's a lot of weird stuff being seen in this world nowadays, man. And I gotta wonder what's going on. It's like yeah, but what accelerated the lifting of the veil, though? Is it the negative energies that's so prevalent in the world these days? Is it something we did?
I think it's a number of those reasons. I actually do believe it's a number of those reasons.
So?
I mean,
that's what I'm wondering.
Mindset now. Look at our mindset now. I think as a whole across the world, we're all more aware.
We're fearful too, though. We're a lot more fearful.
There's a lot of fear of just the state of this world. That's what I mean. Yeah. When you become fearful, you become aware. You tend to open your eyes a little wider.
Well, see, here's my thing though, is like, when you talk about things like Dogman, a lot of people are like, oh, they feed off your fear. And yet we're so fearful though. So it's like, are you guys bringing these things into existence because you're so afraid of them?
And
if you know they feed off your fear, then why fear them the way that you do?
Yes. And the thing is, occultism, just like in the 80s, it's becoming a very big thing again.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Very big. I mean, you notice back in, was it 2012, 2013, in the Aztec and the Maya, this was supposed to all end in 2012. December 1st, according to that calendar. Though they don't have any more after that because it's all been eroded away. Yep. But anyways, my thing is, now I forgot what I was going to say. So I get caught up in my own thoughts.
That's okay. I do too, all the time.
But I think because of the state in the world and because of the way we are seeing things have ramped up. Yes. Now, somebody always says, now, what do you think? Is it because there's more cameras in the world and this has always been happening and people just catching more of it? Or is it because it's picked up? I think both.
Yeah, me too.
Now that everybody has a camera, everybody's catching it. But I also believe that if you look back through history, these things seem to ramp up when the state of the world is at its most tense, when there's more weirdness, when politics is at its worst, or things are going on, natural disasters and stuff like that. Even these things have all picked up. Yeah. So to me, that's just like, are we open? And then you get the occultism that's happening, which had started ramping about 2012 when the Church of Satan decided that they were going to start dropping their little statue everywhere.
Yeah.
I think they are opening doors too.
They could be. They could be.
And things are happening. I mean,
well, I think people are also messing with things that they shouldn't. I mean, practicing the occult, it's popular. And even if you're an amateur, people encourage you to do it. And I think with the occult, you got to be really careful. I think if you don't know what you're doing, you shouldn't be doing it because you could be opening doors and not knowing how to close them.
Same thing with the Ouija board. A lot of people don't understand that you have to close the board when you're done.
Yes.
You have to tell it has to leave and you got to shut the board down. A lot of people don't do that. They get scared or they make it a joke.
Yeah.
And they just walk away from it. And that's
I'm going to pop down for a minute to use the restroom. I'll be right back.
Well, we're going to get off here pretty soon anyway. So,
no, I'll be right back. I'll be right back. Give me a minute.
Oh, you're fine. So I believe that is a lot of problems too, is because people play with these things and they walk away and they don't realize they leave things open. Yes, we know you own a Bigfoot costume. And I'm going to have you put it on and come into stream one night and have an interview with Bigfoot. And see how many people fall. No, I'm just kidding. I'm always up to no good if I had my chance. Let's see what everybody's saying. Your senior moment? Yes, I have a lot of those now. Where it happens more on stream. I hate to say it. Yes, that is true. Blues, this is a good one too. Yes, I agree with that too, that the humans are consistently branching out and moving more into their territory. Yes. Yes, and CERN. I don't even want to go to CERN because I've done quite a bit of research with CERN.
I'm back.
CERN's going to have to be a topic one day because I have a lot of things about CERN. And I don't think people really understand the scientific processes they're going through and are saying they're doing one thing when they're actually doing another. CERN is a form of alchemy, and I don't care what anybody tells me, that's what they're doing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And alchemy is a very real thing. A lot of people just dismiss that. And they're like, oh, that's fantasy. But no, it's not. It's a very, very real thing. It's a science that was being used before science was even a term.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Back to the Nahi Valley, there are so much that goes on there, and there's things we will probably never know.
Yeah, I don't think we'll ever get the actual final answer to what's going on up there. I think it's always going to be speculation and theory. No one's ever going to come forward and say, "Oh, this is what's doing all that." Never going to happen.
Well, I really think that, you know, if people would sit down, agree to certain terms, go talk to whoever you have to talk to get in, and go in and try to do a real in-depth study of the place.
Right.
The question is, do you go in with just a few people? Because you don't want to send just 2 or 3 people. You want to send at least a group of 10. Or do you send in a group of 20? You know what I'm saying?
I'd go with a smaller number. I'd make sure that smaller number is more qualified.
Yes. And they'd have to be prepared for anything. These will have people that have to understand that you need to be prepared for anything that could happen. I mean, anything.
Absolutely.
It's a place that literally anything could happen.
Well, I think what would be smart too is, you know, hire somebody from the tribe, hire a couple of people from the tribe. I mean, because they're going to know the land better than we'll ever know.
That's the question. Do you think there would be?
Yeah, I'm sure they would. If they knew like what you were doing and they had some kind of security going in with you, they would. You know, and I think they would know the land better than anybody else. Get a survivalist.
Yeah, of course, you know, you got to have a guide. You really do have to have a guide. So
you got to get a survivalist, you know, get some biologists to go up there and collect evidence, collect mad evidence as much as you can, and
put up trail cams,
you know, bring it back and analyze it. Yep.
And you know, I wondered why nobody has really done this yet.
I don't know. That's a good question, though.
Is the government denying them access?
That's a possibility. Could be. Or maybe it's just so, you know, entrenched in folklore and mythology that a lot of scientists go, it's just folklore. It doesn't matter. But they're dismissing that all folklore has truth to it, though.
Yes.
You know, so I don't think it's something that should be just overlooked and dismissed. I think that's a stupid move.
Oh, I totally, because there's a number of places like we were discussing, and, you know, they're actually going in and looking. Why aren't they looking in places like this? You know,
and you know, some of the animal discoveries
there that we need.
Yeah, I mean, some of the biggest discoveries with animals, you know, they all started off as folklore. You know, mountain gorillas at one time, they were a subject of folklore, and nobody really believed they existed until scientists found them, and they're like, oh, so these things that are in the folklore are real.
Right. Oh, Cindy, thank you. And your Facebook thing, I sent it to Ryan.
Yes.
And we were going to make that one of the topics. So
yes, we're going to talk about puckwudgies just for you, Mama Cindy.
Yes. So have a good day.
Please, you have a great one.
Yes, and we're going to cut it short here too. We actually went over. So
okay.
You just want to go to 2:30?
Yes, we did.
And just call it since we're going, or do you want to call it now?
We can call it now. I mean, I think everybody's had their fill.
And I'm sure people have things they need to do too. Though we're we're having so much fun.
Yeah, it was a good conversation today, man. Yeah. So what's the next topic for next week?
Well, we had thought devil monkeys. Why don't we do this? I'm rewriting the list.
Okay.
Why don't I get with you during the week?
Okay.
And we'll pick another topic. And we'll go from there. I think we were going to talk about devil monkeys, so we could do that, or we can pick up another one. I'll
call you during the week. I'll call you and we'll talk about. Well, before I go, let me get to Aunt Edna here. So, Aunt Edna, the whistle at night. There's a reason why they tell you not to do that. Okay. So, one thing is when you whistle, you attract the spirits to you. Okay, and it offends these spirits when you whistle. Another reason they tell you not to do it is because it's actually tied to the skinwalker lore. When you whistle, it attracts the skinwalker and lets you know where they're at. So Bigfoot and Dogman wise, whistling in the night also draws them to you and it instigates their predatory nature. So there's a couple of reasons you don't whistle at night. Just wanted to answer that before I took off because I saw you talking about
that's fine. And we're not being white late. I got an old man probably out there pacing going, I got things to do. So we don't go out there and there might be asleep. So
who knows?
Who knows? a 91-year-old, he does what he darn well pleases. So.
And it offends them because it disturbs their tranquility. It's disturbing the peace that they have. With
Which
some
makes sense.
tribes. Yeah, with some tribes, when you disrupt the peace of a spirit, it takes very little to do it. Like stepping on their hallowed ground disrupts them, or whistling disrupts the peace, and they get really angry with you for it. It's tied to Japanese lore too, isn't it, Ghost?
Yes, it's very part of the. You don't walk on a grave.
Yep, and you don't whistle. You don't whistle because
you don't. You watch the language you use in certain areas.
Yes.
Areas. There is even some places you go there that you have to dress a certain way.
Yep.
So yes.
So
we never.
All right. Well,
everybody have a wonderful day, Ryan.
You have a great day, everybody. And Ghost, I will talk to you during the week.
Yes, we will talk. He may join me tomorrow night.
Right, have a great one, bro.
Yep, I'll talk to you.
Yes,
tomorrow.
I will be here tomorrow night.
And we're gonna have.
All right, I'll see everybody soon.
Go ahead, Ryan. You
take care, everybody.
Run your way. Run away. I'm gonna have Chris. I believe his last name. Hey, Jim, how you doing? Chris, I believe his last name is Gordon. He's been on the show before, and he's been wanting to come back on. So I'm gonna have him on for about an hour tomorrow night for midnight chit chat and chilling vibe. So we'll go from there and see what the deal is there. I believe he has some pictures and stuff. I may go on earlier, depends on what he needs to do. And then Ryan may join me for a bit too. So everybody have a wonderful day. Thank you for coming and hanging out with us. And thanks for being patient with us. And I shall see you guys on the flip side of tomorrow night. And just have a good day, folks. And take care of each other. Much love out there.